Pow! Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. You all know it, but what you don't know is what I think about it. So let's get this review rolling. Didn't read this until I was an adult, so I gotta say that childhood nostalgia doesn't really strike a tone with me. I'm just gonna review these books for what they are. Privet Drive, home of the Dursleys, and Dumbledore mistook it for a fire station, just leaving a baby there for the taking. I'm not gonna lie, as awful as these people are, the paranoia of a bunch of robed figures and tons of owls hanging around my neighborhood would probably drive me insane too. I mean, people, they flooded their chimney with letters coming through, but do not mistake me for sympathizing with these people. J.K. Rowling started to get me thinking, okay, maybe this is a little more than your typical kid's novel when we got to the scene at the zoo. I like the fact that you go from these quirky and odd occurrences happening to Harry on occasion to a snake straight up talking to him about Brazil. Anything to freak out Dudley is a win in my book. But the level of insanity for Vernon Dursley to decide it's a good idea to take his family out to the middle of an ocean on an abandoned rock just to escape what's going on, the insanity is insane. Why not just open the letters? Just open a letter, acknowledge it. Enter Hagrid on Harry's birthday. I will never forget the sausages in his pocket. And frankly, I will never forget their absence from the first movie either. But that's a movie-related complaint for maybe a video someday in the future. What's absurd to me, yes, more absurd than a giant man riding in a flying motorcycle, is the fact that he just drops a massive info dump on this poor child. Sorry, kid, your parents were killed by an evil and powerful wizard and you survived. Come on, Hagrid, read the room. So we've had this sprinkling of magic activity to date, but now we get to go to the real magical world of Harry Potter, Diagon Alley. And we see Rowling tap into historical magical creature folklore. The goblins at Gringotts is a nice little nod to goblin folklore from the past century, although keeping it a PG version. And we find out his parents were absolutely loaded, but it doesn't really make up for his traumatic upbringing. Harry gets his owl head wig from Hagrid, and I like the use of kind of these pets or creatures to have different functions, this one being that of like a carrier pigeon. And I really love the wand scene, you know, the wand choosing Harry, not him choosing the wand. And you know, he's got the holly and phoenix feather, which matches Voldemort's. Fantasy tropes eat your heart out. Then it's off to platform 9 3/4, which is J.K. Rowling's version of the wardrobe in Narnia. Did part of me want to read Harry bashing himself into a brick wall? Yes, I grew up watching Looney Tunes. But it's good he made it through, because then we get another 6 books out of him. There's a little bit of a superficial character intro to some new folks here. You got Ron, who's the runty redhead guy. You got Hermione, who's the nerdy genius girl. Draco Malfoy, who's the bully of the group. He's got some serious problem with wizarding social class, it seems. Just not very deep yet, though. Upon arrival to the creepy castle, I mean Hogwarts, they are marched out by Professor McGonagall to be sorted by a hat. Why an all-powerful wizard headmaster and faculty decide to leave the fates of these children up to a hat, I do not know. Seems like a major misstep. The hat seems to have an emotional crisis when it's on Harry's head, deciding what to do with him, which does give more credence to the fact that there's going to be some backstory here, and as a fantasy lover, I do want to see some of that. And then Ron and Hermione are also sorted to Gryffindor alongside Harry, and I gotta say, right here, I think the hat's sorted wrong. Ravenclaw, by descriptor, is supposed to be the super smart house. Hermione's supposed to be a genius. Why is she not sorted there? And Hufflepuffers about to come at me in the comments, just sounds boring. How is the hat essentially saying this is a bin of leftovers? I guess because Rowling couldn't keep track of that many characters, who knows? These two houses just get nobody of note, and then Slytherin is just openly known for being the bad boy club. I mean, come on, guys, what are these teachers doing? I do like Snape, even though he's a complete douche to Harry for seemingly no reason. Not sure the Board of Ed in my hometown would let that fly, but hey, it's good enough for Hogwarts. I mean, it's great, the thought of a potions class, a charms class to learn spells, a broomstick flying training. See, you don't just have to be a wicked witch to fly on a broomstick. Like I said, I didn't read this or watch a single movie until I was over the age of 30. And she really knows how to tap that childlike sense of wonder. It's tremendous. And it's that childlike wonder that leads these kids to find Fluffy, the three-headed dog, waiting for them in the basement. Seriously, who is watching out for these kids? I mean, during the Halloween party, these kids are out there on the front lines battling a troll. Though I do have to respect Rowling here. Even if she's not inventing new fantasy creatures, she is digging pretty deep into the fantasy well to pull them out. But I will give her the creative edge with Quidditch. Building a game of flying rugby basketball, yeah, I support that. I used to see kids on the Rutgers campus playing this on foot. Not sure if they do that anymore. Amidst the game, it appears that Snape is mumbling some hexes to take down Harry, but like a game of Chubby Bunny, he ends with the snitch in his mouth. And there's another thing, the golden snitch. Love that. I mean, something that allows you to win at any time, no matter the deficit. It's hilarious, actually. I mean, I bet you the New York Jets fans out there would love one too in football. Christmas comes, and Harry gets himself an invisibility cloak. Was it from Frodo, or he uses it as he should, like a hooligan. They sneak through the school and find this mystical mirror that shows you everything you desire. The Mirror of Erised. Dumbledore comes in and drops his Dumbledore-ness and just goes, dreams are nice, but they can't replace your family in real life. It is the Mirror of Erised. Ugh, J.K. Rowling, really? At this point, I just want to know what the mystery part of this novel is. I love the wizardry and the gadgets, but let's focus up. Let's focus in. What is this dog Fluffy guarding? Why is Snape so ominous and devilish? Who keeps trying to kill Harry at the Quidditch games? And what is the Sorcerer's Stone? Well, soon we find out Nicholas Flamel created it, and the I's dot and the T's cross. But no, we need a side quest. To Hagrid secretly keeping a dragon in his hut, he hatched it himself, and his name is Norbert. So they try this Mission Impossible moment to free him, but they get caught and get detention. And the detention is to go into the Forbidden Forest at night? Yep, it falls on them to track a creature that's been hunting unicorns. And if she hasn't thrown you enough fantasy creatures at this point, here comes a centaur named Firenze, who at the very last minute saves these children from a demon-floating dark guy god thing that's been sucking unicorn blood. I will say though, to her credit, it's another good chunk of fantasy lore that unicorns are often connected with wishing or eternal youth, much like the Sorcerer's Stone. Connect the dots, people. When it comes to the stone, these kids decide to take action, and the only one that's going to stop them is Neville. Neville Longbottom. You go, Neville. They've come upon the information that Fluffy's weakness is falling asleep to music. So what do? They throw on the invisibility cloak, sneak down the hall, make their way to him, play some tunes, play some jams, knock him unconscious, sneak through a trapdoor, make their way through a series of riddles, which one by one take out Ron and Hermione, and then leave Harry alone at the end. Final villain, Professor Quirrell, the Dark Arts teacher. As my dear role model Ace Ventura would say, he let the troll in, he hexed Harry's broom, he's been working with Voldemort this whole time, he's got Voldemort living on the back of his head, and he wants Harry to get him the Sorcerer's Stone. Now, even though Dumbledore said to Harry, never look in this Mirror of Desire again, which, by the way, just happens to be located in this space with Quirrell, he does it anyway, and somehow the stone pops into his pocket. But as Quirrell / Voldemort reach for the stone, they magically are barriered away, and Harry passes out. He awakes to find the stone's been taken away. What a year this kid's had. What a read. It's honestly refreshing to get some creative world building without some crazy deep dive high fantasy where you really are struggling to even understand and comprehend what is going on. The true bookworm in me would love to have more, but there's no time for that, and I understand. I've got to say, her character building was booty. So surface level. If it were a standalone, I guess I'd clap and let her take a bow, but it's not. Really, she couldn't handle more than like 5 to 10 characters here, and I'm not counting Neville or Quirrell as character development. Even Hermione is kind of one-dimensional until the Halloween scene. It kind of has this ADD-ism where you're bouncing from one fun idea to another, and I think she got away with it by connecting the ideas so well. You could tell it has the chops to be a classic, but it's all about the future books meeting or exceeding this one. And I say classic because she found a way to break into the interests of an adult, even though it has the prose for a child. Now, before you all get ahead of yourselves and think I'm about to drop my first 9+ star review, slow your roll. There were plenty of flaws. The ending, totally Russian slapped together. Voldemort on the back of Quirrell's head? Like, what? Quirrell, how did he even get involved? There was no relationship that was to be understood or read anywhere. Even before that, there were so many random things going on. The dragon, Norbert, much as I love that little guy. And like I mentioned before, this was written in the way an 8-year-old can understand. Don't much think I can give her Hemingway level marks for her writing style. Much as I liked the fantasy creatures and callbacks from like my fantasy reading experience, it felt like more of an avenue for her to get her ideas onto paper than anything else. Maybe that's why you have this kind of archetypical hero's journey for Harry, this plug-and-play journey, and it has this sort of Wheel of Time-esque ending where, yes, the enemy is defeated, but you know there's a greater, larger enemy at bay. And I do know that some people feel like the emotion strikes a chord, Harry's family dying, feel for the orphan, but it's smeared on thicker than cream cheese on a New York bagel. Let me learn and feel the emotional experience through my read. Don't force it down my throat. And yeah, you can't tell me that Dumbledore isn't just Gandalf's spin-off, or that the Dursleys are Cinderella adjacent, or that Fluffy guarding the stone is like Cerberus guarding the underworld, or that Nicholas Flamel invented the Sorcerer's Stone in this book, but in the real non-fictional world that we live in, Nicholas Flamel was actually a 14th century alchemist. Yep, look it up. And hey, if these are hat tips, great. I enjoyed it. Like I said, I enjoyed it. And I have heard that over the years through interviews and whatnot, Rowling has basically admitted as much. She's pulled and spun these things and twisted her own creativity into it in a nice, fresh spin. And I appreciate that and enjoyed the read. So, what do we think about Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone? Gonna land with a 6.22. Enjoyable to read, easy to follow, enough of a good feeling, good vibe to get me on to book 2. Let's see what some fellow readers thought. Bria is just not impressed. I guess her type is tall, dark, and handsome. I mean, I guess he kind of has universal fame for literally doing nothing in the last couple of years, but kinda harsh. Amanda, I'm concerned. This terrified you? I mean, the blood-sucking Voldemort thing was a lot, I'll give you that. But otherwise, I mean, the 3-headed dog is named Fluffy and falls asleep when played music. Also, why are you scared of people who read this? That's like 1 billion people. Okay, Jessica, the way this started, it really could have gone awful. And although I never have or never will read 50 Shades of Grey, your points are valid. Touché. But how about you? Sorcerer's Stone. Love it, hate it. Seriously, try to block, the movies out of your mind. I read all the books first without having watched a single movie, so I could really have a really good grip on what happened here and enjoy it for what it was. Just put yourself into the story. How'd you feel? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Disagree with things I've said today? Love to hear about it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the review, drop a like, subscribe. I hope to see y'all soon. Absolutely remember, a chapter a day keeps the brain rot away. Adios ladies, adios fellas, have a great evening.